Welcome into Sports Around the Bar, your favorite sports talk show, I'm sure. And Drew, man, I am not used to starting this early in the morning. Still hungover from last night.
Dude, this isn't in the morning.
Yeah, it's in the morning. It's early for me.
You know, I already worked 8
I'm still
hours.
trying to shake off a hangover. Welcome in, guys. We're glad you're here with us. We have a lot of football to talk. Sorry about last night. Had some technical problems on both show and life moments, so not to mention traffic on top of it, but we're glad you're here with us now because we have a lot of football to talk about before tomorrow morning. We have a better picture of things. It's a lot easier Saturday morning, and yeah, it's still morning for me, than it is on Friday night. We're actually getting a clearer picture on who's going to play on Sunday, who is not. We're going to go through all these games, and Drew, it starts with a much closer game. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me say hi to you first, and then we'll get down to business. How are you doing, Drew?
I'm doing great, and I would like my phone to let me see us on Facebook.
I hope we're on, honestly. That's we're on.
That's what I would like
Sure
to
thing.
see. My phone is not telling me.
How you doing, Austin? Glad you're in here. Man, I got to tell you, Drew.
You bear with me. You know what? Just do the show for a second. I'll be right back.
That's perfectly fine. I got to say, man, when we were talking about the 49ers and Cardinals, I was not expecting anywhere near that much of a slugfest. Turns out Kenyon Drake's a good running back. All he had to do is get out of Miami like so many other guys. Austin, I know, man, getting over these hangovers, it's like, what, 1 o'clock local time here? It's tough. It's too early for this. There's a reason we do the show at 7. I'm usually just waking up in that kind of moment, you know? Getting ready for my day.
You're pathetic. What's hungover? What are you guys talking about? What is that?
Yeah, exactly. You just stay in that constant flow of drunk that it never really hits you. But whenever you stop,
what's drunk?
You're probably going to die. What do you think about the 49ers game, man? Were you surprised that the Cardinals put up that much fight?
No, I really wasn't. I thought it was going to be a close game. First of all, it's a division rival. And the way that Kyler Murray and Kingsbury is kind of running this offense, it seems like whatever they're putting in, one of the biggest knocks on the Cardinals was their offensive line was going to be terrible this year, right? I mean, that was the whole talk about it. And it seems like if it's David Johnson, Chase Edmonds, and now the gentleman from the Dolphins, and I'm blanking on his name.
Kenyon Drake.
It seems like they're all being able to create holes in this offense to run some yards, and the passing seems to be somewhat with it. That being said, I don't think anyone was picking against the Niners to lose this game. But let's all be completely honest. As good as this Niners team look, they are just now going into the hardest part of their schedule.
Absolutely.
So what is coming up for this 49ers team is really going to push this team to decide if they're just as good as everybody thinks they are, including myself, or is this a team that's just found itself on an easier part of the schedule and is yet to play some of the harder people.
And Chris says, go Colts. We are going to get to them in just a little bit. I think I like them this week against the Steelers, but we'll go into that a little bit later. When you're talking about the 49ers coming up, they have the Seahawks, the Cardinals again, then it's on to Green Bay, Baltimore, New Orleans. Tough run. Real tough run. I want to see if they can keep this undefeated streak going because I'll agree with you. They have played the easier part of the schedule right now.
And it doesn't stop. We don't have to keep going into the schedule, but it doesn't stop after that. I mean, the rest of their schedule is very tough. More than likely
That's what happens when you play a tough division, right?
Right. More than likely most of these opponents they could possibly see again in the playoffs. I mean, I don't want to sit there and knock the 49ers. They deserve everything that they've gotten. But it's definitely the addition of Emmanuel Sanders is huge in that offense. These two running backs and Tevin Coleman and Breida seem to
he's already leading the charge.
Seem to be amazing.
7 receptions, 112 yards for Emmanuel Sanders. Huge addition.
Oh, it's huge.
Huge addition. Finally. I was like, the 49ers have somebody to throw to.
Which is really funny because I drafted Emmanuel Sanders in my fantasy league, dropped him, and then repicked him back up just last week.
All right, let's talk about Jimmy G really quick, and then we'll move on. The criticism of him has been they're winning, but they have the 24th rated offense. This game, he throws 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Is this just win by any means, or is this him taking advantage of a weak team?
I wouldn't consider the Cardinals a weak team. They're just not an elite.
They're subpar, right?
I mean, they're
going to finish in the bottom 20 of the league.
I mean, maybe because of,
they're a weak team.
Maybe because of I think they didn't have Patrick Peterson for 6 games. I mean, things like that make a huge difference. But you cannot sit there and tell me this defense isn't playing average among the rest of the defenses in the league.
They're not as hapless as I thought they were going to be. How about that? Does that make you feel better? Because I thought they were going to be terrible.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
I thought it was going to be Chandler Jones and then Patrick Peterson when he came back from suspension and nobody else out there. But they've been a lot better than that as a unit. I think adding Jordan Hicks from the Eagles has been a big pickup for them. Even more than that, this team even though they don't have the big names and even though they've suffered some injuries, losing guys like Alfred with a broken leg, they have found a way to have that next man up where they don't just roll over every week. And that is big. I think that's incredibly important when you're talking about having a team that's trying to rebuild with a new head coach and a new quarterback. You want to have a little bit of fight out of a lot of these guys that, let's face it, might not be there when the rebuild is over.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Tyler, good to see you, man. He says he thinks that we get Mahomie back this week. I've heard it's pretty much an outside chance, man. Chad Henne is reactivated. He's on the roster. He's on the 53-man roster. I don't see it, man. I honestly think it's going to be one more week. I wish he'd play against the Vikings, but it's just, as much as I want to see him, as much as he wants to play, it's just not worth it. These are not AFC opponents or NFC opponents. If you're going to lose some games, these are the games to lose that truly don't matter when it comes down to playoffs.
The stats nerds would call it cost-benefit analysis. And what that means is what you stand to gain is not anywhere near what you stand to lose if something happens to them because you're rushing them back out there. Again, you're running away with the division. You're probably not catching the Patriots with as easy as their schedule is.
Yeah.
What are we risking here? I get you want to have that first round bye, but I don't know. This team might be better off if they play the first week and keep their momentum. I'm not saying that's always the best route because anytime you can play less games in the NFL, that's good. But they seem to be a rhythm team. And whenever that offense is in rhythm firing, maybe you catch the team with a little bit more rust than rest coming into the playoffs. I don't know if the third seed's even that big of a problem if you have Patrick Mahomes 100% healthy. Give me that over Patrick Mahomes gets hurt again, and we miss him for the next 6 weeks or 12 weeks or the rest of the season or whatever.
Right, and Tyler, I'm frustrated with you too, man. I mean, it just sucks. We would definitely want to see our MVP out there. Tyler also goes off and says the Niners to him seem like to be a one and done in the playoff team to him. I mean, what makes you feel that way? They got a really good pass rush. They've been able to run the ball properly, and now it seems like the addition of Emmanuel Sanders, their passing game might see another little flourish into it. Now, one thing I do have to admit, the loss of George Kittle, if he sees any time missed, that's not gonna.
We did come back to finish the game too, but
yes,
I know
he said he played through pain.
Up.
He said
right.
the MRI does show some kind of tear. We don't. I to be honest, I was at work all morning long, so I don't really know if what has been said is torn. But if this is a significant loss where he is out, I would say they're gonna have to rely very heavily on this defense because as much as I like the addition of Emmanuel Sanders, I still think this passing game runs through George Kittle.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. Even with Emmanuel Sanders, they need George Kittle if they're gonna win a Super Bowl. They're gonna need him to beat the Packers. They're gonna need him to beat the Saints. Even teams like the Rams and Seahawks in division, they're gonna need their best weapon in the passing game to get that done. Let's talk about our London game this week, because now I got up early today, Drew. I have to get up really early to watch this tomorrow.
Yeah, we can get into it. Let me hit Chris's 3 comments here real quick. He says he really hopes Jacksonville wins this one. And he says, with or without Mahomes, the Chiefs will lose this one by 3. That's bold. That's a bold statement. And he says
Kirk Cousins has been playing really well after the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, but it's just...
But it's Kirk Cousins, right?
The way the Chiefs defense has been playing and the way Mahomes has played in his career so far, I don't know. It's not worth getting into. Not right now. We'll get into the game in a second. And Chris also says the Colts will get the division and the 2nd seed, and Baltimore will prove that New England defense isn't for real. I hope all those statements are true, minus the Colts getting the 2nd seed.
Well, let's talk about this game. Can Jacksonville pull this off in London? Because here's the one reason I'm thinking about picking the Texans. I feel like they're a much more disciplined team than the Jaguars are. I feel like even though that Jaguars defense is good and will come to play, I don't know that they're going to be able to go halfway around the world and find a way to stay as good as they are here in America. I think that big of a road trip for as young of a quarterback as you have in Gardner Minshew and as young of an offense. Let's face it, a lot of these receivers are young guys too. They have a very inexperienced offense. That's a lot to ask for a road game that counts as a home game all the way halfway around the world. I like the Texans. I feel like they're a little more disciplined. I know they're missing J.J. Watt, but I just haven't seen it lately. That secondary has been torn apart by injury. I don't believe they're going to get enough of those guys back to make a significant jump forward. Now they're missing J.J. Watt, who was leading the league in pressures against the quarterback this year. If he would have finished this year, in 2018, he would have finished as like the 30th rated pass rusher in the NFL right now, just for what he's done for this point of the season. Guy's been a monster this year. Even though we haven't seen the numbers stat-wise, he's been after the quarterback. He's been making things happen, blowing plays up. They're going to miss him in Houston. I think J.J. Watt plays. I go Texans. No J.J. Watt. I'll flip here. I'm going to go with the Jaguars. I changed my mind. I'm going against what we picked in the offseason. I'm going to say Jaguars win here.
Just before I get to that game and throw my piece of mind into it, I agree completely with you with the J.J. Watt thing. It's kind of my talk about Zadarius Smith last year with the Ravens. I said, even though he is not getting the numbers sack-wise, the pressures alone, this guy is a stud. I can't believe they're going to let him go in free agency. And now look what he's doing with the Packers. Of course, the Texans aren't letting go of J.J. Watt regardless. He'll play in the Texans uniform as long as he wants to play. I completely agree with you. Ray says, you guys will not be up early tomorrow morning to watch the game. See tonight's fight, and to see tonight's fights going on with Canelo and gosh, I cannot talk. Do you want to read it? Because I'm
with Canelo and Diaz fight. Nobody is going to wake up early to watch Houston and Jacksonville. I got to, man. They're in my division. I got to know what happens.
and if I can talk,
the DVR will be set though. Honestly, the DVR will be set because there is a good chance that I'm not up at 8:30 local time to watch this. I'm going to try to catch it. I am going to try to get up.
I'm not gonna
no rest for the wicked.
I'm not gonna lie. I got a party tonight, and I don't think the guy is gonna pay for the pay-per-view, so I'll have to just catch the updates on my phone. I'm sad I'm gonna miss this fight, but I promise something else going on.
I'm just glad Diaz is fighting after all that run-up where he was saying, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it, they're cheating, blah, blah, blah. They accuse me of taking banned substances, I've never done that, and I believe him in that standpoint, but I'm just glad that the fight's going to happen, because just like, it seems like everybody in the UFC now, there's chatter all the way up. I'm not going to do this. Whatever. I'm just glad we're getting it done. That's the biggest takeaway I have from UFC, or my biggest negative is all the perpetual talk and bullshit BS before we start. I didn't mean to say that. Before we get into the fights, and then they just wind up fighting it. And I don't know. It's too much talk for me.
Jeremy, what's going on, man?
I just want to see you guys hurt each other.
Austin says this one could go either way. If you're talking about the fight, I completely agree. I
think he was talking Jags-Texans, but...
Well, we started talking about the fight, so...
But that's fine.
Just real quickly, I think it's going to be a great fight.
I think it's Diaz. I like Diaz. Dude's a monster. Yeah, absolute monster.
But record-wise, it's the opposite.
I don't care.
32-11.
That's because he fights everybody. Dude does not care.
I think Nick Diaz is 20-11. So...
Doesn't matter. MMA, everybody loses. I'm not worried about records.
I'm talking about more of the wins. He's got 12 more wins than Diaz does. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be a great fight. I wish I could watch it. I guess I'll just have to watch the highlights and get over it. Let's talk about the Texans and Jags.
Good to see you, Jeremy. We didn't say hi, but
I did.
Go ahead.
You were talking. It's okay. You're absolutely right. The subtraction of J.J. Watt is huge. I still think the Texans' defense is a decent defense, but when we talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars going across the pond to London, this is a place they play every year. They have a lot of fans out there. So even though it's not home field advantage, it is kind of home field advantage for them because there's tons of Jaguar fans in London. But really what I'm going to talk about as far as the Jags and why I believe the Jags are going to beat this team is the improved play of this offensive line. This offensive line is started out the season really terrible. Watch Nick Foles get hurt. It was a blown coverage or blockage on the offensive line. It didn't look good. But now, when you look at it, you got Leonard Fournette. I think he's number 2 in the league in rushing. Yes, a lot of them are just one big, giant play, it seems like, that kind of pushes him over that limit. But this offensive line is slowly improving. It's giving time for Gardner Minshew to be in it. I think his name is Filippo, is the offensive coordinator. He's getting all these receivers involved in this offensive passing game that they have with Minshew. I mean, Chris Conley showing a little bit of talent that I wish he showed in Kansas City. I mean...
Well, you're the guy all over Chris Conley when he left. To be fair, you were the one saying this guy could be a great receiver.
I did. And he never showed it in Kansas City.
Right.
And I think all these improvements and then the subtraction against the Texans with J.J. Watt, even though Deshaun Watson is playing great ball, let's not forget this Jaguars defense is still littered with talent, even with Jalen Ramsey gone.
Absolutely.
I think the Jags win this game. I still think it will come down to a last-minute kind of... field goal, touchdown, whatever it is. I don't really see this being a high-scoring game, but I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars can win this game.
And I think Deshaun Watson's going to be under pressure all game. When you look at this Jaguars defensive front, they need to pressure this Houston offensive line that's been better but still not good at protecting Deshaun Watson. If they get back there, we've seen him get thrown out of rhythm a couple times this year. We've also seen him, when he can go back there and throw, he can beat teams like the Chiefs. So my whole point is needs to be Jacksonville's defensive front, making him kind of nervous and always being in the backfield. They can do it. They absolutely can do it. They're one of the best defenses in the NFL. Still, I think the Jaguars walk away with the win here. We'll go against our pick in the offseason, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Redskins, Bills. And Tyler says, like we said, they need JJ for the pressure. I agree. I don't think the pressure is going to be on the other side of the football. I think the Jaguars have the edge when it comes to defense in this one by a landslide.
Yeah. Dwayne Haskins gets his first start. I know we've seen him so far, but we haven't seen a start. Even with his time played, he's 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's going against one of the most stingiest defenses in this league. I know they gave up a lot of points to Miami, but that's a division rival. They still won the game. To be honest with you, I just don't think the Redskins have a chance. Dwayne Haskins is going to struggle. It's not just the fact that he can't play. I'm not saying he can't. It's just he didn't have any weapons. His offensive line is atrocious. The only thing that got going is possibly a run game.
And Terry McLaurin's looked okay, right? As a home run threat. Yeah.
Could you imagine if they had an offensive line?
It'd be nice. Trent Williams is back. I don't know that he plays here. Yeah, I don't know that he plays, but he's back.
He's having he failed the physical.
Yeah.
He's having discomfort with the helmet. It's not going to be a pretty game, but I think the Bills win this game.
Yeah, well, it's never pretty when the Bills are playing. If you look at every time they play, it's like 17-16, and you're like, how did Cincinnati hang with these guys? It takes like a last-second field goal. How did Miami hang with the Bills? But they've gotten the job done. I think that happens here. I don't think this is a great game for your rookie quarterback to start. We've talked about that in length before in the past. I don't love playing him against a good defense like the Bills have that are going to shut him down when he has no weapons, no protection, no real running game when you talk about the way they've run the ball this year. My question is, are they trying to tank? Because I think if this was Case Keenum, you stand a slightly better chance of winning this one.
Yeah, you could win this game.
Yeah, and I might have even picked them in the upset because the Bills let people hang around.
Yeah.
But with a new quarterback that has been turnover prone to this point in his NFL career like Dwayne Haskins, how do you take the Redskins? You got to go Bills here. I don't want to spend too much time on it. Josh Allen should do okay against this defense. It'll be like normal where he throws 180 yards and then runs for almost 100. He'll have a good fantasy day. Maybe he gets a rushing touchdown, but it's still not what I want to see out of Josh Allen. Both of these franchises, even though one is winning and the other is losing, I still look at them and I'm like, they're basically on the same path where I don't consider them legitimate threats.
Yeah, Jeremy says it's going to be a tie, and I don't know which game you're talking about, but I think you're right. Either one of these games that we just talked about has a good chance of being a tie.
So you're going to go Bills?
I'm going
to go Bills too. I can't bet on Haskins. I think we took the Washington Redskins in the offseason. So we're flipping off of that, right? We can't stick with it now.
No.
What were we thinking?
I don't know. Watch this prove us wrong.
Well, then again, we said 7-9 for Washington. I don't think they get to 7.
Well, we thought their defense would be a lot better.
We did. Vikings Chiefs. I'll let you go first.
Man, I think it's just a depleted rosters across the board. Even though the Vikings are definitely a lot closer to 100% than the Chiefs are, the loss of Adam Thielen until he's ready to play is a huge knock on this passing offense. I know everyone's like, well, Stephon Diggs is really showing up. He's definitely stepped into that and into that role and is definitely showing himself as a number one receiver. I don't know just how long that can last. It's just the same thing with DeAndre Hopkins, and DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion, is a lot better than Stephon Diggs. It's even with that one weapon, it's too hard to keep that rolling for a consistent period of time. That being said, on the other side of the board with Kansas City, I mean, we were just littered with injuries across the board. You got Fuller, you got Chris Jones defensively, you got Frank, you got Okafor that's a bit banged up. I mean, it's everywhere on the defensive side of the ball. Then you go to the offensive side of the ball. It's all across that offensive line. Sounds like Andrew Wiley is going to be able to play, but already knocked out of the game is Eric Fisher and Tardif. So we got arguably our left tackle and our right guard out. Could be the two best pieces of our offensive line out for the game. And, of course, everyone knows Patrick Mahomes is questionable for this game. I think it's an outside chance this guy plays. I don't really think they should play him, even though I'd love to see him play. That all being said, I think Kansas City will keep it a tight game. I think Kansas City will be in there. I believe Matt Moore, even though his accuracy is not where Patrick Mahomes is, I think with this kind of talent weapons-wise with Tyreek and Kelsey and Damian Williams and LaShawn McCoy, I think that you can create enough offense to kind of upset some of these teams. I mean, if you guys think about it, if LaShawn McCoy doesn't fumble the ball, you're talking about Kansas City possibly driving and put up 7 points on the Packers instead of the opposite direction where they put a touchdown up and we went down 7 points. It could have been completely flipped around. That being said, all that stuff, I think without Patrick Mahomes, and I hate to admit it, I got to take the Vikings. I just don't think that Kansas City with Matt Moore, I'm not saying it's his fault we lose this game. There's just not enough to push the Vikings over, especially the way they're playing.
I agree, and I think Dalvin Cook running the ball is going to be a little bit different than Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams from last week. He's going to be harder to stop. He's going to be getting the ball early and often. I just wonder how much this Kansas City defense is going to be able to limit him. Even if the game plan is stop Dalvin Cook, like you said, they have Stephon Diggs still. They have their tight ends that are really good. It comes down to how well can this Chiefs defense limit an offense that has a lot of weapons. And I just don't. I don't see it. Not with Matt Moore. If they had Patrick Mahomes, I could say this turns into a shootout, and both teams are going to be scoring a lot of points. The defense only has to come away with a takeaway, make Kirk Cousins to make a couple mistakes. But right now, the way things are, I can't bet on Matt Moore beating Kirk Cousins or a banged up Patrick Mahomes. Is not going to be as mobile as he was, because that's one of his best weapons, is that he escapes pressure. If he's not 100% with his legs and not able to get away from this Vikings defense, again, there's no reason to play him here. I'm all in the camp of protect the asset. And right now, the Chiefs are saying that they're trying to rush him back out onto the field. I'm still of the mindset of it doesn't matter, because if you look at the Chargers playing the Packers later on this week at the 3 o'clock games.
I don't know if the Chiefs are. I think it's Patrick Mahomes is trying to rush himself out.
Well, of course he is, because everyone wants to play, right?
Right.
Everyone always wants to play.
But Andy Reid has gone out and said, we're not letting him play unless the doctors approve him to play.
And that's smart. And you know what? I might even say we'll give it a week after that, where we'll just be sure.
Because you don't want to see him in Nashville playing.
I don't, but that's not the reason I'm saying that. If I'm the Chiefs GM, I don't want my star quarterback that's going to be my quarterback for the next 15 to 20 years rush back out of the field and get hurt because we needed to win a meaningless Week 9 game. And this is meaningless to the Chiefs. It is. To them, when you look at the rest of their division, this is about as meaningless as it gets.
I will give you that this game is meaningless in the sense of the playoff run, but I don't know.
The Titans game means everything.
I don't know if the Titans game is meaningless, being AFC, meaning that you guys in that division, there's no clear winner in the AFC South.
Sure.
You guys could be.
Well, meaningless to the Chiefs. This game is meaningless to the Chiefs, and that's the standpoint I'm talking about. And the Titans game. Meaningless to the Chiefs.
Titans game is.
I think a lot of what happens depends on what the Packers do to the Chargers. If the Packers beat the Chargers, next week's meaningless too. Because, again, even if you lose, you're keeping that divisional race going unless the Raiders can upset the Lions. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. But I look at this, Drew, and there's a good chance that both of those teams lose, and it's business as usual next week, and just rest them up.
We'll see. Ray, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. So we both got the Vikings going into this game. What did we do during the offseason?
Well, we have the Chiefs going 38-0 this offseason. So, yeah, we had them beating the Vikings too. We're going to flip, and it's all due to injury, right? That being said, the Chiefs will probably win this game, and we'll be like, those guys in the offseason, they just know what they're talking about.
And you'll see a big, giant smile on my face Sunday afternoon.
Jets-Dolphins, because we have to.
Oh, man. I mean, there's so much discord in both of these teams. You obviously have the Dolphins that are, struggling immensely across the board everywhere. Ryan Fitzpatrick, if he kind of could be able to
the better Patrick is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he'll put up 14 points. He could probably keep this in a game, but I just don't know how much him alone makes the rest of this team good or decent around him to beat a team like the Jets. Even though when you look on the other side of the ball, the Jets are just torn up.
Bunch of injuries.
They're trading them. They're trading players away. There's names coming up, and
Jamal Adams feeling betrayed because his GM said, I was listening to a trade offer about you. I mean, come on, dude.
But let's be completely
You're
honest
a safety.
Here. Between the two teams, who is more than likely going to be ready for next season out of the two?
The Dolphins?
It's the Jets.
I don't know. They're both going to be the same next year, too. And I'm going to overestimate how good this Jets defense is going to be, just like last year. I don't know, Drew. I almost picked the Dolphins in this because I'm telling myself Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to find a way to steal 3 games this year. And when he does that, they're not going to be able to get their quarterback, and it's going to be business as usual in Miami.
Do you think if they get a lead, they'll just pull him? And put out
they'll be like, hold
on, man.
He's got an injury.
What are you doing?
No, they won't pull him. I think Sam Darnold still wins this one.
Throw him in the tent.
Maybe this is one where he comes back. Yeah, concussion, right? He scored too many points. He's too accurate. Something's wrong with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I look at this game, and I got to say, I think Sam Darnold is going to have a bounce-back game. We've seen him have good games this year. We've seen him have bad games this year. I still don't think the offense is up to snuff, but against this defense, maybe we start to see that little bit of flash that keeps someone like Sam Darnold in that positive category, because we still like Sam Darnold, right? Nobody's talking about it's time to move on from Sam Darnold.
No.
Even though he's had some bad games here.
Yeah, but he's young.
Yeah, exactly. And the Jets' offense is pretty terrible.
And he's seeing stuff.
He's seeing ghosts. That, again, maybe I don't say that if I'm on the field, but I don't know. I look at the Jets. They got to win it. I'm going to pick them. They got to win it. Still, when the Dolphins win this, I'm going to be mad at myself for not picking them for it because I was this close to saying the Dolphins win here.
Chris says the Colts will definitely win the AFC South division, and he's also saying the Jets win this game 17-10. But Ray's
saying 17-13. That's what I'm saying.
Ray's going for the upset. He says Dolphins 17-13.
I think these defenses are either banged up or bad enough that they're probably more points than both of you guys are predicting. I think this winds up in the 20s because I think Fitzpatrick can score points. He'll throw some interceptions, but he can score points. And I think Sam Darnold can too when you just leave him alone and let him do his thing. I'm going to say Jets like 23-22 in the sense that this could be 23-22 Dolphins. And again, I'm going to be upset on Sunday that I didn't get one up on you, Drew, because I didn't go with the Dolphins. The Dolphins, like my gut said.
Yeah.
The Dolphins, like my gut said. I can't talk. Bears Eagles.
Let's
talk about a game that I care about.
Is it because we're off? Off on the time. We don't know what's going on.
It's too early. I already told you.
Dude, that is such a lame excuse.
I'm drinking beer when I'm normally eating cereal. Bears Eagles.
This is a tough game for me to decide. I really honestly think at some point in time the Bears are going to bounce back and be like, we are a better team than this, even regardless of Matt Nagy's woes on offensive play calling and the way Mitch Trubisky's playing. I'd still believe in David Montgomery being the best running back out of this draft. He's kind of proven me right so far. I said that to begin with. Just remember that.
Wouldn't you rather have Dave Montgomery than Josh Jacobs right now and not spend a first-round pick?
Yeah, I would.
Exactly. And this is why I was complaining about taking Josh Jacobs. Not because I dislike the player. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But not a first-round player when you talk about running backs and how easy it is to get a guy like Dave Montgomery in the third round. Sorry, continue.
No,
what's he doing in this game?
But the problem is he is the offensive power so far in this team, in this literally the team, and they're going to struggle against one of the best defensive fronts in the Eagles, even though they're kind of underperforming. I think it's just more the fact that their secondary is so bad, but we've seen so far the Bears are struggling to pass the ball. It's
weakness versus weakness. Can the Eagles stop Mitch Trubisky, who can't throw the ball this year at all, or can Mitch Trubisky finally get something going on that side of the ball? Maybe Allen Robinson's the difference here because he seems to be the only guy in that Bears offense that shows up every week.
No, David Montgomery too.
Well, when they use him, the problem is some weeks it's Tariq Cohen all day, every day, and Dave Montgomery gets like 8 carries. I think they've kind of started leaning towards Montgomery, saying we're going to power run the ball. I think the Bears were embarrassed last week. I think Matt Nagy, when you look at his post-game interview, was incredibly embarrassed by the media where he came out, he got super defensive, and he was like, why would I run the ball and get a closer field goal when I had an extra timeout when I could just kick it and miss it from 41 yards out? I think the Bears bounce back here. I don't love this pick. Again, this game could go either way. I like the Eagles. I like the Bears. I think both of these teams have underachieved this season. I think both of them stand to come up, and I think whoever wins this game has a chance to do it. But if they lose, we're getting to the point where it's going to be some of these leads in the division that they're trailing some of these teams. It's going to be insurmountable because I like the Cowboys this week against the Giants. I like the Packers this week against the Chargers. Both of these teams need a win. I guess I'll go with the Bears because I like them a little bit better with Khalil Mack.
Absolutely. Damon, we're glad you're here, man. He says, we're all talking foosball. We are. I know it's important to you that, that the Eagles beat the Bears, or is it that the Bears beat the Eagles? I keep on forgetting exactly who are you rooting for in this game. Remind us, man. Let us know.
I know you're a Brett Favre fan. I remember that. Guys, welcome in. If you're watching from a watch party, we can't see your comments, so do us a favor. Click our name. Click like page, join our regular show so that we can see your comments on everything going on in sports. Welcome into the show because, again, we're here because we want to talk with you. This isn't just two guys talking to you. This is a conversation. We want to talk to guys like Ray and Chris and you and Damon as well and Jeremy and everyone else who's commented. So, again, click our page, click like, join the regular conversation so you can get in on all this talk. Tell us who's going to win this game, the Bears or the Eagles.
Yeah, just to remind everyone, if you have a chance, hit Sports Around the Bar tab. Come, follow us, catch us on our page so you can join the conversation. Much needed.
And Damon says, Eagles, man, America's team. You're confused, but I like where the spirit's at.
Ray says the Eagles are going to win 27-17. So he's with me.
It's a lot of points against the Bears,
He's with me. The Eagles are going to win this game.
But if they do, are they putting up 27 points on the Bears? I know the defense has not been as tight as it was last year.
Maybe it's ugly points at the end.
Like Mitch Trubisky throwing picks?
Yeah.
But who's going to catch those picks?
Fletcher Cox.
Yeah. It might have to be when you look at the secondary. I'm going to go Bears, and I think this is going to be like 17-16 or 20-19, kind of like we saw against the Chargers where it was just real close, real tight, somebody's last second field goal. maybe I pick the Bears to hit the field goal this time. Maybe Matt Nagy runs it, they take the extra time out, and it's a 38 instead of a 41-yard field goal, and they get this one. I'm going to go Bears by a nose. Only because I got to pick one. Let's talk Colts.
During the offseason, who do we pick? Do we pick the Bears?
Of course we did, because we said the Bears are going to go 12-4. So we were wrong there too, as it turns out.
We did not prep properly for a game that we had some extra time or extra show to extra time. All right, moving on forward. The Colts go on the road to face the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, yuck!
Is this game?
No. Well, hold on. This isn't a game. The Colts are going to win this one. And the Steelers are not. And that's what it is. Even though the Steelers' defense has been good. There's no way, the way the Colts are playing, that this secondary, or that the Steelers' defense entirely is going to be able to pressure Jacoby Brissett enough to get the win. Because that's the only way the Steelers are winning games right now. The defense shows up, limits everybody. But when you're talking about this offensive line the Colts have, they're going to run the rock with Marlon Mack. It won't be pretty, but they're going to do it. They're going to get Hines involved. They're going to get their other running back, whose name I can't think of right now, involved. It's going to be a three-pronged attack. It's going to be ugly football, but the Colts are going to get it.
Samuel?
No, it's not Samuel. That's a Steelers player. I'm talking about the Colts. They
Hines?
have Nyheim Hines, they have Marlon Mack, and they have Jordan Wilkins.
There you go.
Yeah, see? I talked my way through it. The Colts are the team to beat here. The Steelers' defense is not going to be able to upset this offensive line to the point where they don't get any points on the board. Can they answer back with Mason Rudolph or Devlin, their whose last name I always forget, quarterback for the Steelers, the third stringer? Neither of them are beating the Colts' defense, right?
Hodges? Yeah. No, I don't think so. I think the Colts win this game. I think that defense, the way they're playing out of their mind with Darius Leonard and Justin Houston, they're just overplaying their talent.
Now, Corey says Colts will take it. Pascal has a field day in this one. Do you think Zach Pascal has a field day? I don't know about field day. I don't like any Colts player to have a field day, especially with T.Y. Hilton gone. If it's anyone, I'm going to say it's one of the tight ends coming out of Indianapolis. But I think this is an ugly win for the Colts, and we're going to be talking about these are the kind of wins that make teams playoff caliber teams like the Colts are. It won't be pretty because the Steelers' defense is good. I don't think Pascal's going to have a field day here, but I think they're going to have enough. Maybe he gets like 60 yards and a touchdown, and that's what it takes.
Do you think it's going to take the Colts' passing offense to beat a struggling offense like the Steelers? See, that's where I don't see it being any kind of passing that creates a win here. I think it might be a Marlon Mack. I think it's possibly just a toting of the rock on the ground. It's sooner or later it's just going to wear that defense down.
It's the big boys up front.
And he's going to find a hole. I mean, There's no doubt about it. I don't know how much football you guys like to enjoy like we do. I mean, we watch almost every game, and if we don't get to, we'll go back and watch some of the games.
We even watch the Dolphins-Jets. We don't love it, but we do.
This offensive line that the Colts have is literally the best offensive line in the league. There's no other offensive line like this one, and it's not just passing, it's also the run game as well. If they had, I know you're a bigger Marlon Mack fan than I am.
Oh, I've been all over him since he was drafted.
But could you imagine if they had someone like Le'Veon Bell or Leonard Fournette or Christian McCaffrey? I mean, it's going to change what that offense would do. And I'm not.
They're definitely better than he is.
Yeah, that's my point. Is if you put a little bit better talent behind that offensive line, this team would be one of the most unstoppable offenses in the league. Even with Jacoby Brissett being in the
I don't think it's running back. I think it's more receiver. I think they need T.Y. Hilton healthy. They need I like Jacoby Brissett because it doesn't make mistakes, but I think if they had Andrew Luck back there where he was able to sling the ball downfield more consistently and you had another receiving threat besides T.Y. Hilton, we'd be talking about how this offense is just super spread out and Marlon Mack has all the kind of like I did with Kansas City. You don't need to be the best running back. As long as those holes are there for you, you can find them. I still think teams choke up on the Colts because they want to take the run away, and that offensive line is still the key to this offense. But as long as they're not making mistakes, they're going to beat the Steelers. That's my biggest point. As long as they're not making mistakes, they'll get the job done.
Matthew, I am back, but I just don't do the Wednesday night shows, man. I'm here every other show, but you're right. I am back. Thank you for
You should have been in here to hear him take your Vikings over his Chiefs. That was a pretty big moment. Watch that one on repeat.
Yeah, it was hard, man. I think the Vikings are going to win the game. I'll let you read Damon's comment.
I'm not even going to do it. I think, again, his spirit's in the right place, but I think he's a little back. I think he's a little confused. Now, Ray Pratt says the Steelers are going to beat down on the Colts defense, and they say they win this game on the line. Game over. That's a bold statement. Let me tell you this. If it's going to happen, it's got to be the Steelers running game, I think. I really don't like Mason Rudolph having to throw into this defense. And I don't think the Colts defense is amazing. But again, have we seen much out of Mason Rudolph or?
That's kind of my question: is where, Ray, do you think that Mason Rudolph has shown to you that he can play against a better defense like the Colts? I mean, that's one of my biggest reasons why I'm picking the Colts is I think their defense is playing above their talent level. But who did Mason Rudolph beat up on? The Dolphins?
No. If you remember, he stunk the first half.
That's my point. And you're talking about a team that's struggling with talent anywhere. Ray, I'm not knocking on you, man. I just don't know if that offense is the reason why the Steelers could win this game. If it was one thing, it'd be the turnovers their defense create against Jacoby Brissett. That's where I can see the Steelers winning this game. I still don't see it. I have the Colts winning this game.
Now, Matthew also says, wait, Drew didn't pick the Chiefs? That's a moment in history that he needs to go watch. I know, right? This is the guy who said they were going to go 17-0 when they play 16 games in the offseason. He said they were going to win the bye week. He's wearing a hat. He's wearing a hoodie. Is anyone more bought in on their team than Chiefs than Drew is on the Chiefs? Anybody out there?
Hold on.
Maybe Ray saying the Steelers are winning this game.
Just
maybe he's more bought in.
Because you don't buy Titan stuff.
That's because I don't have a reason to. It's hard to buy Titan stuff because I don't know who's going to be on the team next year.
You live in Nashville.
I don't know who's going to be the quarterback next year. How would I buy any Titans gear?
I don't wear a jersey. I don't have a jersey.
That's just so I don't have to admit in public that I actually like them. All right, let's talk about the Titans and the Panthers. Because, again, Drew picked against his team. I'm going to pick against mine. Ben Jones injured on the offensive line. That's already been terrible to begin with, especially in the interior. Look what the Panthers' defense has done. Titans are going to get eaten up this week. I don't love that Jarrell Casey is out, best defensive player. We saw what happened against the Colts week 17 when Jarrell Casey didn't play. The defense was helpless. Even though I like Jeffrey Simmons coming in the way he's played, his stamina and his fitness is not up to 100% to the point where he's playing 80% of the snaps. He won't be out there enough to make an impact to make up for Jarrell Casey, even though he's been fantastic when he's been in there. Titans lose here. I hate to say it, but they're not going to be able to run against this Panthers team. Ryan Tannehill, the other Ryan I like, is going to be under pressure all day long. And I think the Titans are going to be over their heads against a team like the Panthers. This is all about the Panthers' defense.
Bees, I'm sorry you got that game and you wasted your money. And he says, who did we take in the Bears and the Eagles? I took the Eagles.
I took the Bears. I fell for the trap.
So what I want to talk about is this. Actually, real quick before I do it, hey guys, I just want to remind you if you're watching on a party share or was it a watch party
on Facebook,
and you're watching something, if you're commenting, guys, we cannot see your comments. Please give us go ahead and click on our tab where it says Sports Around the Bar. You don't have to follow us, you don't have to like us, but come to our video where we're live right now and comment and join into the show so we can see your comments and become part of the show.
Absolutely. I mean, we want to see what you're talking about. We want to know your opinion on all this stuff. So, again, if you want to have your comments read live on air, because we want to talk with you, it's all about a conversation, click on our name, click like page, because that's the easiest way to do it. And, again, helps us out, too. And then just join our regular video so we can see what your comments are. Because, again, we see there's a bunch of you out there, and we appreciate that. We just want to talk sports with you. That's why we're here. It's not us preaching to you like you watching someone on TV. We want this to be your show, too.
Yeah, you must be more awake now because you can talk perfectly fine. And I'm, struggling because I don't have enough beer in my body. And my body's shutting down until I get a little drunk.
Absolutely. Now, Ray says he thinks the home field has a lot to do with it. I think he's going back to Titans-Panthers here. He says, we definitely got some holes with our offense, but he thinks they can get it done. Actually, I take it back. He's talking Steelers-Colts because he was talking Steelers before. Look, I like that they're at home. I like it's at Heinz Field, and Heinz Field can get pretty nasty around this time of field, and that helps out defensive teams. It gets sloppy. The field gets torn up. The weather's always bad in Pittsburgh, and let's face it, it's not the most well-kept field in the NFL. I think even with home field advantage, even if you're playing a total mud bowl and it starts raining, the Colts offensive line is the difference here. I love what the Steelers defense has done to this point in the season, but this is not the kind of team that you're going to come in and bully. Yeah. This offensive line is the strength of the Colts offense. It's not Jacoby Brissett. It's not even the receivers or the running back. This is about the offensive line winning in the trenches week in and week out. I think the Steelers are going to come up a little short here, Ray, and I hate it for you. It's not a negative. Losing this game at this point with Big Ben hurt and out for the rest of the season doesn't necessarily hurt the Steelers, in my opinion. I think get the better pick. Just come back stronger for next year. Hopefully Big Ben is healthy and gets to put together a good year for it.
Ray, Cam Newton is not the starter this week, and other Ray says Panthers. He's picking the Panthers. He doesn't know for sure, but they're real reliable running back at Christian McCaffrey. When I think about this game, I know that.
But what do the Titans do?
I know that the Titans are
They
struggling.
take those guys away.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that the Titans are struggling with a lot of injuries, but you were supposed to pick my Chiefs as I picked the Vikings, but instead, I'm going to pick the Titans to win this game. I still believe that defense, even with Terrell Casey hurt.
I hope so, man.
I think that it's the next man up mentality. I think that you're going to see this team still be able to stop the run, still be able to possibly create some turnovers from a young quarterback, even though Kyle Allen has shown that he doesn't do a lot of that, but he has now done it. He has thrown some interceptions. As much as I think Carolina is a true team, I think this is a game where the Titans thrive and they win because this is the game that they're ready to play. They love games where it's like a defense against a defense and offenses that kind of just run the ball. This is built for the Titans ball right here, and I think the Titans win the game.
I am so glad I got that on camera.
Could you have done that for my Chiefs?
This week with Matt Moore going against the Vikings now. Other weeks I've done it. I've stepped up for the Chiefs. I've defended them. Even there have been people that say they're not the best team when they're healthy. And I said they are. But you know what? No starting quarterback. It's hard to pick someone against the way the Vikings are playing right now.
You don't have a starting quarterback either.
We do, actually. We benched our starting quarterback for the first 6 weeks. And I was like, okay, what's going on? Just to round out this Titans game, finally, I am picking against them, even though historically, they always seem to do the opposite of what I picked them to do. When I pick them to win, they lose. When I pick them to lose, they win. I'm hoping that reverse psychology works here and my team wins in this one. I'm still thinking the Panthers are going to have too much because I believe it was Ray Pratt saying that the Panthers have a real reliable running back without Jarrell Casey, who is the heartbeat of this defense. Even though Kevin Byard's amazing, it's still Jarrell Casey winning up front. Without him, I think the Panthers are going to be too much. It'll be a close one, like every Titans game ever, but I think this time they wind up in the wrong end of 17-16.
Adam is asking for an autograph from you, Jacob. He says that he's your biggest fan.
You got it, kid. I'll just throw you my jersey.
Your jockstrap?
I'm wearing one right now, so he can have it.
B says that, this is a viewership that we deserve. Big ups to you. Thank you, man. We appreciate it. And he says, wow, Drew, that's huge.
Not picking the Chiefs. Baby steps. Baby steps.
Is it not picking the Chiefs or picking the Titans to win against Carolina?
Both. Baby steps. See, you're coming around. Next thing you know, he's going to be wearing Titan blue.
Do you remember?
Just give me the next season.
Do you remember when I won the wins and losses last year?
I do, by like one game because I picked the Buccaneers.
Do you remember when I won?
Because I picked the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
That's the first rule of gambling. Don't take the Buccaneers for anything. We'll move on. Ask Will, right? Ask Will, man. Don't take the Buccaneers for anything. Let's talk about Lions-Raiders. Your favorite team, the Oakland Raiders.
Actually, real quickly, the smartest man in our viewership, Jeremy, says Drew is number one.
Hold on, Jeremy. I remember distinctly like 2 weeks ago saying
that he said
I was number one.
That Drew is number one. Yeah, he did. He said that.
Flipping loyalties. I think he's just trying to get on my bad side.
He said 2 weeks ago that I was too.
I picked the Colts and everything, Jeremy. I picked the Colts and everything. I know you're a Colts fan. Come on, dude. All right. All right, we'll move on. Let's talk.
He says it was the Titans. Dude, this is a game that the Titans win. Let's literally get back to this game.
No, hold on. This is a game they should win because it's a backup quarterback. They run the ball. They play defense. Typically, the Titans do well against those teams. But every time you're saying the Titans should win, they never do. And every time you're like, the Titans are dead in the water here, I'm done picking them, they win that game. Well, right now, we're saying the Titans should win. It's why they're going to lose this one.
Reverse psychology. I'm telling you they're going to win, so they lose.
It's reverse psychology. They're going to lose because I can't be happy and I can't have nice things in life. I think that's what it is. Let's talk about the Lions and Raiders, okay? I'm desperate to talk about this game. Can you tell?
Yeah, real quick. Corey says that the Chiefs aren't in the AFC West with the Chargers. I'd pick them to win every game. Thank you, Corey. Thank you.
Well, in the AFC West, sure, but this isn't an AFC West opponent.
All the other 14 games. That's all I'm asking. And then just those two, you don't have to pick them.
Now, Ray's saying they should win. I think he's talking about my Titans, and I appreciate the optimism, but I will stay skeptical. Let's talk about the Lions and Raiders, okay? For the 12th time, please, I'm begging you, Drew. Can we talk about the Raiders for 5 minutes? Can we talk about how they're going to beat the Lions, and the Lions are going to disappoint us again?
Wow. Those are bold words.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
I love mentality. And if there's one thing that the Raiders have had this year, it's the mentality of we're going to come out, we're going to start strong, we're going to win these tough games. They've beaten teams like the Colts like that. They've beaten teams like the Broncos like that, when Antonio Brown should have blown up this roster. Yeah. Instead, what happened, they came out stronger as a unit. They dominated. I like the Raiders this week for the simple fact that they have found ways to win games they shouldn't, and the Lions have found ways to lose games they shouldn't. I like the Lions going forward, but this is going to be another frustrating week for Lions fans where they're going to say, we should win this game, and then they don't.
I'm completely the opposite. I think it's that this Lions team has literally had bad luck in a lot of these losses. There's a lot of games they should have won. I don't care if you want to say it's the ref's fault. I don't care if you want to say it's the talent or the last play that made them lose, or the talent just wasn't matched up well against another team. This Lions team is trying to win. Matt Patricia has literally changed the mentality of how these Lions play games. I think it's the same way with the Raiders, but I think the Raiders are just a little bit more off than what the Lions are. I mean, there's a lot of talk about, is Derek Carr the quarterback of the future? Does John Gruden want Derek Carr? There was never talk about if Matthew Stafford was the quarterback of the future. And I also want to talk about how a young man named Golladay is playing out of his mind. I think this guy's, obviously, in my opinion, he's going to be a Pro Bowler. And possibly, if he keeps this up, who knows what the limits could be for this guy, especially with Matthew Stafford throwing in the ball. Because I know that you said he was what was the word? You said he's a good receiver, but he's been putting up big numbers.
Sure.
And let's be honest, Matthew Stafford doesn't favor receivers. He throws it to everybody.
Well, he doesn't love tight ends. I'll say that. He does spread the ball around, but he doesn't love his tight ends. I think Matt Stafford, when you look at it, how many first-round tight ends have bombed out in Detroit? It seems like T.J. Hawkinson's the next guy, but I don't know. I like Matt Stafford. I think, again, he finds his way to get his receivers involved. I don't love Marvin Jones. I don't love Kenny Golladay from the sense that I think they're just far and away better talented than everyone else. But when you're playing with Matt Stafford, it seems like it doesn't matter, right? He always finds a way to get these guys involved.
Yeah, but...
And even going back to Golden Tate, Tate had his best years with Matt Stafford than he did.
The way I watched him play, man, he's talented.
Stafford, sure. Or Golladay.
Golladay.
Well, he's a good player. He's a good player. But good players don't win you Super Bowls. Again, we're not talking about Odell Beckham here. We're not talking about Julio Jones here. What we're talking about
we don't know yet. He's still young. And he lives.
I might take the longest beer bet out.
He lives, but he also plays for Detroit.
He lives for Detroit,
which is a struggle to become a huge name. I mean, Matthew Stafford's one of those names that probably should have been brought up a long time ago about one of the better throwing quarterbacks. Not saying the best, but arm strength and talent. He should have been talked about a long time ago about being one of the better ones.
Now let's go to a couple comments here. Damon says he heard that if you share and follow, there's some free T-shirts in the works, as well as an NFL jersey. Yes, if you want to win, all you have to do is like us on either YouTube or Twitter, and we'll put you in a drawing to win an NFL jersey of your choice, and then second and third place win Sports Around the Bar T-shirts. So if you're interested in that, again, just search Sports Around the Bar on YouTube or Twitter. You have your chance to go and win the NFL jersey of your choice. We're not just going to send you anyone. You're not going to get a Kenny Golladay jersey in the mail. You're going to get to pick if you win it.
Even though you should be excited about that.
You should be, but we're not, okay? Not everyone wants a Lions jersey. But if you do want to win, all you have to do, like I said, like us on Twitter, like us on YouTube. Each one of those gets you an entry into that drawing. We're going to have our first one here soon. We're going to do another one next month. Look for us at the end of every month to give one of those away. Also, a couple more of these here. Damon goes on to say, do we have any Sports Around the Bar shirts with XL bicep size? We know you need it, Damon, but we'll have to check with our manufacturer to see if we can make sleeves that big.
It's been a while, man. Might need to see pics to make sure that those are going to need to be extra large. We have medium. We do have medium for you.
Also, Ray says Oakland's winning this one 23-14. I like that pick. Corey says Lions 21-17. I don't like that pick because, again, it goes against what I was thinking. But I can see it happening. I think either one of these teams could win this game. I'm going to go with mentality, Drew. We'll round it out. I'm going to go with mentality. I think the Raiders win this one. I think the Lions lose it. And it's going to be another one of those kind of situations where we're going to ask ourselves, how good are the Raiders and how good are the Lions? Because there's not going to be a clear-cut answer after this game.
Yeah, no, and I'm picking the Lions. I think that the team is playing really well. They just had bad luck, and I think they could beat the Raiders. I honestly do. Even in Oakland, I'm not worried about it.
Scott says, fight night, boys. Diaz versus Masvidal. Yes, I like Nate Diaz in this one. I think Nate Diaz, he's just the meanest. He's the Banff, right? I'm going to let you go Google what that means, the Banff. I like Nate Diaz to win this one. I'm glad the fight's happening. I was talking about it before a little bit earlier in the show where I hate all the lead up to it where he said, I'm not fighting. They said I'm cheating. Blah, 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 blah. That's the biggest negative for me in the UFC is they're trying to be wrestling and this constant talk beforehand. I'm just glad it's getting done. I'm just glad that they're actually going to have this fight here. Rob says, hell of a game last week. Matt Moore put it to us. Talking about the Packers. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good thing Aaron Rodgers can throw that fadeaway pass
that
the corner
amazing.
of the end zone.
And good thing that LaShawn McCoy fumbles a lot.
Absolutely. Ray Pratt also said that Detroit is too inconsistent in the win category. I agree, and that's why I'm not betting on them this week, even though I'll probably be wrong. But I got to do it because, again, they've been the team that always seems to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
Corey says that game is anyone's to lose. I agree. And Jeremy says, wow, over 1,000 viewers. It's because of love like yours, Jeremy, that allowed that to happen.
Absolutely. Let's talk about our next game, the Browns and the Broncos. The best game of the week, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's looking forward to this one.
And you're picking the Broncos, right?
Super Bowl champion versus the Broncos.
Oh. Thought Super Bowl champion versus the Browns.
It could be either way. I look at this game, Drew, and I said somebody has to win it, right? I almost took the Broncos, but you reminded me Joe Flacco died because he said something bad about his coach, and they're like, we don't need him anymore. So that's kind of a negative. I don't love whether this
I think he's on the IR because he said something negative. I don't think he's not playing because of the negative thing he said.
You don't think so?
No.
I mean, I get it. He's got some neck problems, but he came out. He's real critical of the coaching
staff. Did you see the hit
staff.
he took?
Yeah. Have you ever seen all the hits Joe Flacco takes? It's because that offensive line's trash.
His head snapped back so quick. It's rough. I don't think it matters. I think the Broncos are dead in the water. I think they probably won their last game. I think this team is probably going to end up being 2-14, and that's not just because of Joe Flacco. I think you're kind of losing in the locker room. I don't think there's enough leadership properly in that locker room when you trade. Like, I'm not saying Emmanuel Sanders was a leader, but when you trade Emmanuel Sanders away, when you're shopping Von Miller, when you're shopping Chris Harris Jr., your leaders along this team. It creates discord, which creates a team to lose itself. Hopefully, the coach, which I always mess up his name, and I can't think of it right now.
Vic Fangio.
Fangio, that's right. Will hopefully keep this locker room together. I think he deserves a chance to still be the head coach. But until then, I got the Browns win this game. I don't think it's going to be a pretty one. I don't. I think the defense of the Broncos is still going to be decent. But I think the Browns can win.
It's always a good comment when you get me to laugh out loud. Rob says he's on IR because he grew a spine, and that's the problem. I agree with you. And there's also a reason why they're starting Brandon Allen over Drew Lock. That, to me, huge negative, and it tells me that John Elway probably isn't the answer at GM, right?
Well, Drew Lock was on IR. He just got activated.
Still, when you're spending a second-round pick and you're like, we're not going to start him.
Or he's not activated yet. I'm not for sure. Either way, I don't think he's playing.
No, he's not playing in this one. They're going with Brandon Allen.
I think if he was healthy, I don't think he'd be playing.
This was a desperation pick by the Broncos, saying we need a quarterback, so what we're just going to start throwing picks at it. I don't think anyone loved Drew Lock coming out of the draft, but then again, no one loved Daniel Jones. And look at the way things have changed. The problem is, it doesn't seem to matter how many quarterbacks the Broncos take. None of them seem to hit. Yeah. So, at the very least, they have a problem in the scouting department. Yeah. More than likely, this goes all the way to the top, and John Elway can't figure out who's a good quarterback and who isn't. And when you're the Broncos, if they had half of a quarterback, we would have seen this team succeed so much more than it has in the past. They've let this defense rot away and fall apart, and now they're not in a position to win football games. They're not going to win this one, Drew, and the Browns are going to win it. We're going to be talking about, is Baker Mayfield back? But I think this is going to be ugly for him, too. I think this defense is going to have enough pride and enough kind of wherewithal to go and make this game difficult on the Browns, but I got to pick the Browns to win it. I don't love this pick, but the Browns will win here this week.
Yeah. Scott, I love you, man, but he says he's starting Cousins in fantasy this week. I hope it does not go well for you. B says, Drew's MVP versus the Broncos. Yes, I like Baker Mayfield, but I'll admit,
Then again, I was a Sam Darnold guy. How does that turn out? Oh, yeah, he's on the Jets.
I don't like the Freddie Kitchens hire, so I'm right now going to blame it to that. The guy's still young, man. He hasn't even played 2 years yet. I mean, let's not throw him under the water. Is there an issue? Yeah. Get off of social media, man. Play football. Quit worrying about what other people are saying or what they're doing.
Hire Greg Williams to follow him around with the newspaper and slap him every time he talks to the media.
Scott also goes off and says, isn't Flacco in his 40s? What's with Elway and these old quarterbacks? Don't worry. Cam Newton will be playing in a Broncos uniform next year.
Bold statement, but I don't know that I believe it. I think that Riverboat Ron's going to hang on to Cam Newton for longer than that. As for why he hires these guys, is because he takes these draft picks that don't pan out, and then he goes with the veteran instead.
Andy Dalton.
Could be. Yes. Now that I buy.
Which I like. Okay. Just real quickly. If Andy Dalton goes to the Broncos, that's a good hire. That's a good person to bring in.
It's the same as Case Keenum. It's the same as Joe Flacco. Hear me out. Listen. It's the same thing where the Broncos, doesn't matter who you get at quarterback. If you don't protect him and you don't get him any weapons, it doesn't matter.
Okay, I'll give you that.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and I like Andy Dalton. I think he's a guy that probably gets a bad rap because he spent a lot of time at a bad franchise.
Yeah.
He's not the best quarterback, but I've also seen this man high point a ball over Bleedy Ray Wilson against the Titans and score a receiving touchdown, okay? The guy's got talent.
Yeah, he does.
I think when you look at this team,
Which is...
obscure moment in NFL history, Google it, though.
Which is
It'll make you laugh.
more talent than Joe Flacco has and Case Keenum. Come on, you got to give me that.
Athletically, yes. Athletically, 100%. I don't think the Broncos' key to success is hiring a veteran quarterback. I think their key to success is build a team and then worry about who's going to play quarterback. Protect him for once. That's why they hired Mike Munchak. I love that hire, but he hasn't fixed this offensive line yet.
I do like Dalton Reisner, though.
Figure out what you're doing on defense, figure out what you're doing on the offensive line, and then worry about your quarterback. I know that's backwards. Everyone always says you got to get the quarterback in the NFL, and if you get pick 3 or 4, I understand that they're going to go have to draft another one. The Broncos aren't going to fix things by signing another veteran quarterback and keeping the team this terrible. It's just the next punching bag to go and end a career in Denver.
Got a couple comments here. Corey says that the Broncos ever get rolling with talent, they can win their division for years to come. That's a bold statement. Ray says Cam Newton Broncos. He can see it. He can see it happening. And then,
I think John Elway wants passers more than he wants runners. I don't think he's going to go with Cam Newton. I've heard the rumors though.
Rob goes Broncos. The Browns have too much ego in one locker room. There's only one ball. Dude, be honest with you, Rob. I don't know if that's the issue. Because neither any the press conference that I've heard of, and don't get me wrong, I don't listen to all of them. I don't think any player has gone out and said, "Hey, I'm not getting the ball. Yeah, right. I'm not getting the ball enough." I still think it's coaching.
You need a strong hands at the reins. That's why you don't hire a rookie head coach to lead a bunch of big personalities like that. They should have been Greg Williams. You should have kept Freddie Kitchens as the offensive coordinator, and if he walks after that, he walks after that. Again, you need a hard-nosed guy who's going to keep everybody on track. They don't have that. They threw that away and said, we're going to go with the young, up-and-coming coach like the sexy pick in the NFL is, right?
McCarthy would have been a good pick.
Yeah, I think he's another guy that can kind of crack the whip a little bit. Exactly. You need an older coach who can go in there and keep these young guys on track and focused and tell them, look, don't tell us in the media. Don't tell us what you're going to do. Don't talk to these guys. I'm tired of hearing Baker Mayfield say, Jesus, Tony, after every hard question he gets asked. Shut up and play the game.
Yeah.
Play the game. I'm not going to lose it, Drew. I'm going to lose it. And that's what you need for the Browns. They don't need this guy who's going to go and kowtow to them, who's not comfortable in his position. They need the guy who's going to tell them, shut up, yell at them, get in their face, and say, you've got more talent than this. I want to see it. The Browns don't have that. That's why they're, 3 wins now? 2?
2.
Where are we at?
We're at 3.
Rough. That's where they're at. Yeah. That's why they're not winning the Super Bowl like everyone picked in the offseason.
Ray Pratt says absolutely rebuilding for the Broncos is there.
You're right, 2 and 5.
Agreed. Ray, and I'm C, because I'm not going to mess up your last name, says Cam Newton to the Titans.
Cam Newton. Oh, my heart couldn't take it. Honestly, I'd probably turn in the Titans jersey and just be a full-time loser and root for the Buccaneers.
And Corey wants to remind people that Ken Wisenhunt is looking for a job right now.
Yeah, he was a great head coach last time he played last time he coached in Tennessee. So I don't think he's the worst offensive coordinator in the world, if that makes you feel better.
No, but he should just be a position coach. That's what he should play.
Quarterback coach. He can be no coordinator. If you have a mobile quarterback that you can protect and you can count on 5 offensive linemen to do the job, because nobody sends everybody out like Ken Wisenhunt does. I know he's supposed to
be a quarterback coach, but okay, let's just be honest here. What quarterback is he really?
Phillip Rivers.
Okay, Phillip Rivers was good before him.
Well, he was there. Coached up Phillip Rivers.
I think it was. Well, it was Ben Roethlisberger that he coached as a rookie.
I don't know. I don't remember that.
I think that's his shining light.
The bread and butter. And let's not forget, he got the best out of the Cardinals, right? I mean, they went to a Super Bowl. The problem is, he's as rigid as it comes. There's no bend when it comes to Ken Wisenhunt. You have your 5 offensive linemen block, and everyone else goes out to pass. It goes out to catch. So you're going to take a rookie right tackle, and this still hurts me, in Jeremiah Potassi, and put him up against J.J. Watt, the NFL reigning sack leader, and say, you got it, kid. This is all you. Ken Wisenhunt's not an idiot, but he's kind of an idiot. I don't know what to tell you. Look, he could fit in somewhere.
Is he better than Jeff Fisher?
No. He won 2 games. At least Fisher gets you to like 8-8. All right, let's round it out, Drew. Let's talk about the Packers and the Chargers again, because we have to.
Yeah.
Have the Chargers impressed you this season?
No.
Have the Chargers been one of the most underachieving teams this season?
Yes.
Are the Chargers going to be bad for the rest of the year?
Yes.
Are they going to win some games?
Yes.
Are they going to win this game?
No. And we're done. Thank you for Sports Around the Bar. This is...
Yeah, look at this game, and this has got to be Packers, right? This is further on the march. But I'm not going to say that this could be easy. I think the Chargers still have a lot of talent. I know with Melvin Ingram out, their defense hasn't been the same as when they have both Bosa and him together. But this is going to be a challenge for this Green Bay offensive line to keep Aaron Rodgers upright and give him the time to throw the ball. I don't think they're going to be able to run at will on this team. I think they'll have some success doing it, but it's not going to be 200 yards on the ground. Could it be 200 yards on the ground?
Maybe.
Now, Ray's saying go Pack go. Ray, the other Ray is also saying Packers win here. A lot of Packers love here in the comments, but I can't fault you. The Packers have been one of the best teams in the NFL. Defensively, offensively, they've been good. The question is, can they sustain? Can they keep it going? And I think the answer is yes this week. I like Phillip Rivers as a quarterback, but I haven't seen it this year.
If any, and you guys might be Packer fans, I honestly can never remember. I love all of you, but I don't remember who you root for. If it
ain't the Chiefs, you don't care.
I don't even know who the Chiefs fans are either. If Aaron Rodgers can keep having that magic like that pass was to Williams in that end zone, I mean, that's magic. That's just something you can't coach that. You as a person throw that 100 times, you make 0 of those throws perfectly. It seems like Aaron Rodgers can make those happen almost at will. If that is what Aaron Rodgers does this year, this Packers team is almost going to be unstoppable. Because I'll give you this. Against the Chiefs, I think every Chief player, including Matt Moore, played their heart out for that game.
I agree.
Every single one of them. That offensive line held the Smith brothers back, which I believe that the Smith brothers are probably one of the best duos in the league at pass rushing. Yes, you guys tore us up on the ground. Everyone knows you can run up the throat with the Chiefs, and that's how you beat the Chiefs. But when he made that pass, that incredible pass that should never happen by anybody else.
Fade away, sidearm sling to the back corner of the end zone.
That right there showed me that this Packers team is 100% real, because when you have Aaron Rodgers playing like that, making those miracle plays happen, this is a very scary team. And when you look at the Chargers and all the woes and worries, and you can blame it on injuries, you can blame it on whatever you want, you don't beat a Packer team. You don't beat a Packer team like this.
Right.
You just don't.
I absolutely agree with you. Travis says, horns up, go Rams. They are on bye this week, so we're not talking about them. But I'll say this. I'm glad they're still in the running, but they got some tough competition in that division. I think the 49ers have been better than a lot of people have predicted. I think the Seahawks have been as good as everyone's predicted them to be. The Cardinals have even been better. The Rams have their work cut out for them. I like the Jalen Ramsey hire. I don't necessarily like the price they paid for him, but hopefully they do better coming up for you.
Corey says, yes, the Chargers will not lose this game. He hopes. But then Scott says, cut Rivers. Pick up Cousins. He's tired of waiting for Rivers to do something.
Are the Vikings letting go of Cousins this year?
They
owe him 27 more.
He's only got one more year left.
But it's fully guaranteed, and you can't cut a guy who's $27 million fully guaranteed.
It's only one more year.
You can't take $27 million in dead cap space. Nobody can do it.
No, one more year. Then Cousins.
Okay, all right. Well, you got to hold out for another year. That's all I can say. I don't say cut Phillip Rivers. How much better are you with Kirk Cousins over Phillip Rivers?
Would've took him.
If you don't protect him, we tried to trade for him.
I know.
If you can't protect him, it doesn't matter. Both these guys need protecting. That's the long and the short of it. And again, the Vikings have finally started to figure that out a little bit. Business as usual for the San Diego or for LA, wherever they are. They're San Diego forever to me. Just get used to it. I can't fix it. All right.
They were LA before that, man.
Well, there's San Diego in my heart. How about that?
Because grew up in his childhood with him being San Diego.
All right, guys. I think that's going to do it. Drew, final thoughts before we get out of here.
Guys, this show was incredible. I appreciate the viewership. I appreciate all the comments, the likes, the shares. I do want to give a special thanks for everyone that commented, and if I miss you, I'm so sorry. But Austin, Chris, Tyler, Ray, 3 Rays, by the way, Jeremy, Ray, Damon, Corey, Matthew, Ray, Bees, Adam, Corey, Scott, Rob, Travis. You guys are all awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this noon.
What time is it? I'm in a haze, honestly.
I feel like when I go outside, it should be dark.
Guys, we will be back on, Sunday, tomorrow. I usually say a couple days from now, but we'll be back on Sunday in between your afternoon games and Sunday night football to talk about everything going on with your teams and all the action for the NFL. We hope you can join us then. It's been a great show. We appreciate you joining us. Even if you didn't say anything, thank you for watching. That's all we can say.
Yes.
But join the conversation. Again, we're here to talk with you. So for Sports Around the Bar, Drew, I'm going to kick it to you, man. Any final thoughts before I go and enjoy the rest of my Saturday? And when I say that, I mean probably go back to sleep after I watch a little bit of college football.
You're going to go party with me.
I'm going to try. But honestly, this has been taxing, getting up before noon. Taxing.
You're going to go party and drink, and you're going to forget that you're a big, giant baby.
Yes, Ray, we do talk college football. That is our Wednesday show. Again, just to remind everybody, we are on Tuesday for a variety show where anything you want to talk about in sports, we talk about it. Wednesday, we do college football. Friday, we preview normally. And then Sunday, we do our actual review of everything going on. We talk about all the NFL action during the regular season.
Between the
Wednesday's your college day.
Yes. Wednesday's college. Sunday, just to remind you guys, it's after the afternoon games.
6:45 Central, 7:45
Before
Eastern.
the night game. And sometimes we go a little bit longer, but we appreciate all you guys for being there.
We always go a little bit longer. Not sometimes. We won't lie to you. We always run over, but we try to get you out for Sunday Night Football because we want to watch it too. It's been a great show, guys. Thank you so much. Justin, I'm glad to see you. He said, go Pack, go. This hopefully isn't a trap game. They'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Travis says, go Gators. I don't know if I'm a Vols fan, but that just sounds bad to me. Again, I don't love the Vols, but when anyone says go Gators, I'm like, stop it. Get some help. Great game for them this week. That's game of the week. I hope you watch it. I think it's later on this afternoon. Hopefully we didn't miss it. I think it's on 7, but I think it might be 3:45. I'll have to check. Either way, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
For Sports Around the Bar, I am Jake, your bartender. This is Drew, my favorite co-host. We'll talk to you. Well, Hannah's not going to like that. We'll talk to you on Sunday night.
It's still us. More Sports Around the Bar. See ya.